next to me.
Hi guys, welcome to The Big Plan. Today's topic, and if you can see Joshy now, he's wearing sunglasses in studio. It's like our little Corey Hart. Men's needs opposed to women's needs. Let's get into this. We were actually having this conversation earlier with Kristen because you were saying men have needs, right? And
Yes.
and we were talking like you have a need, men have needs to.
Well, I
like,
think here's what I would say to start it off, because I think that generally speaking, in society, generally speaking, women's needs are front and center, and like if you're in a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, you're engaged, you're married, a woman's need, and I'm talking about a heterosexual relationship here, a woman's need is kind of front and center, much more, people are much more vocal about those than men's needs.
Because men don't really talk about it. And
Well,
they don't
well, I
really
think-
necessarily state
Well, I
what their
think that
needs
there's
are.
I think it's a combination. I think society has put women's needs front and center more so than society has men's needs. And I also think, yes, that women have a tendency, not good, bad, or indifferent, to just be more verbal about their needs than men are.
Well, right, I think,
Others.
yeah, I mean, there's that, I agree with you on that, but I think a lot of it has to do with men just sit into this world where they don't speak about what they do need, and they, because of society or because what they think is right or wrong, they don't want to talk about their emotions, and so what happens is, it does tend to look like women have more needs, when
Yeah.
the truth is, men actually have quite a bit of needs themselves.
They do, for sure. Men do. So I agree. And what you just touched upon was the second thing that I said, which is that I think that men don't necessarily emote as much as women do, again, generally speaking. But I also think that society has put women's needs certainly front and center, and rightfully so. Much more so, there's a highlight on women's needs and fulfilling women's needs versus fulfilling men's needs. You know, men still have feelings. Men still have needs. And I'm not talking about like misogynistic needs of, you know, needing a hot meal cooked and stuff like that. I'm talking about just, there's still like a whole emotional component, a whole physical component that goes into like what men are looking for, and I think that those often get lost in relationships.
Oh, 100%. I like men. I think it's very important for men to feel like they are important, like the work that they've done matters. I think because of society and
What do you mean by the work that they've done?
so like if men instinctually are, and I guess I'm not going to say this is an overview for all men, but like you're problem solvers, right? And so when when you're taking care of the family, or when you feel like you have this, you have a requirement of you to take care of this or to take care of that or to fix this or to fix that, it's very easy to feel unappreciated when those things are taking place. And because men don't really talk about those feelings necessarily, I think that it gets lost along the way because women are kind of, well, we get so wrapped up in our own stuff, but then we don't realize that it does matter, that those things matter, and without you doing your part, we're never going to get our shit done either. So we have to show you that we appreciate those things. And I think it's needed for men, but men don't necessarily speak of it.
I would agree. Well, it's definitely needed for men, there's no question. A lot of relationships that we have seen, I've seen, you've seen, you know, go a different direction. I think the men get, you know, first off, a lot of the men are just pieces of shit, and like they deserve, when a relationship goes bad, I shouldn't say they deserve, but there's a reason why, and men can be front and center as to the reason why that is the case. But I would also say that, you know, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
And, you know, a relationship takes two people to come together. Sometimes it's 80-20, sometimes it's 50-50. You know, 80-20 could be, you know, the man is putting more in at one point, the woman is putting more in at another point, but they pretty much balance each other out. At some point, overall, it comes to kind of like this center to a certain degree where it's pretty much 50-50. And it is not always, I don't believe, you know, the man to like go work and, you know, go do all of those things. It's like the small things as well. They include helping around the house. They include the small things of whatever it might be, grocery shopping, putting a load of laundry in and starting the laundry, maybe not finishing the laundry.
Have a project.
But starting the laundry at least is something. Cleaning the dishes, preparing dinner from time to time. You know, doing like small things like that. Waking up, be the first one to let the dogs out in the morning, and then all of a sudden you're up for the day.
So we're talking not just men, we're talking Josh.
Yeah, we're talking me. Yeah, we're talking
Totally.
me.
Yep, absolutely.
But I'm talking on behalf of a lot of
I agree with you.
guys
Yeah.
out there that.
Well, the saying
that-
"happy wife, happy life," they don't have that for men. It's a saying that's about women, like
Correct.
you know.
And it's a very, if you go down the list of things that, speaking again on behalf of being a man, if you go down the list of things that make, again, generally speaking, everyone is different, but me knowing my friends and guys that I hang out with, making a man happy in a relationship is much simpler. It's much simpler than it is making a woman happy
You
in
kind
a
of as like
relationship.
plants. You need to add water, give some food, and have sex.
That's-
You're pretty
I
minimal.
think you're minimalizing it a little bit. I think that there is a little bit more to it than that, but it is certainly I think it's way less complicated. It's way easier to make a man happy than it is to make a woman happy.
Yes, I agree with that. I think it is a hard situation though for men and women in a lot of ways because I think women just tire. They have this expectation on themselves. They're like, okay, I've got to take care of this. I've got to, keep the family going. I got to organize everything. I got to keep the house good. And then I have to look really good for my husband. And then I have to, please him. And I think you start to feel exhausted. And on the flip side,
That's what I meant.
right, that's what I was going to say. I hadn't finished my
Yeah.
sentence. But on the flip side of it, you forget that as a guy, you're like trying to keep up with all the things that you're trying to keep up with too.
Yeah.
And so, you kind of take that for granted and don't understand that like they have their needs too, just as much as you. They're going through a lot of shit just as much as you are. If you're a good person, and you're doing all those things. And so I think women they tend to take that for granted and don't realize that there's two sides to that.
I would agree with that. And I think that in our relationship, you do a very great job of understanding that and, understanding what makes me happy and my needs.
I mean, as best as I can. I mean,
Of
obviously there's
course.
gonna fall short.
Yeah.
I am your biggest cheerleader though.
You do a great job overall, and I try and do as best of a job that I can with you, and I fall short also, for everything that you're looking for. But I think that I think there's a mutual respect between you and I that, we both understand that we're like really trying as much as we can, and we give it as much as we can, and there are times where we can give more, and then there are times where you may be overwhelmed and dealing with a whole bunch of stuff, or I might be dealing with a whole bunch of stuff and overwhelmed where like we can't give it, and one of us has to pick up that 70-80% piece and the other one picks up the 20 or 30% piece, and then it flips. But it kind of, again, it balances itself out, as close to that 50-50 as possible, because we both have to give. And, and again, I think the list, if you did like a list of men's needs versus women's needs, it's a significantly reduced list, if you will, if you like sketched it out on paper of like what genuinely like really men need. Men are, at least the guys that I have been around forever, and speaking on behalf of me, we're pretty simple.
Yeah.
We're not it's not like an overly complicated, again, I can only speak for myself and for my close crew, kind of, like we're not overly complicated. There are always the outliers where guys who are just fucking batshit crazy, or just like, they're way needier than they need to be and stuff like that, but, or they're just, just not good dudes for whatever the reasons are. But there are a lot of good guys out there, and I think that guys in general get a bad rap, and again, rightfully so in so many ways, but,
But not always.
but not always,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, like,
So
not
like,
always.
but the question to you is, okay, as a guy, you're pretty good about it, but, because guys don't
Did you
emote.
say I'm pretty good about it?
You're pretty good about, yeah,
Oh,
like
so
you're
I'm not
emoting
like-
and stuff like
Oh,
that.
so I'm not
Well,
great
there's
about it, so I'm pretty good.
No, you're very good.
Oh, so wait, we went to pretty good to very good.
Well, it depends on the moment, honestly.
Gotcha.
But like, because it is,
Interesting.
here's the thing, you're pretty good at emoting,
Interesting.
but like, I will tell you, you
Yeah.
know as well as anybody else there, you like hold a lot of shit in, so
Yeah.
sometimes it is hard to break through that, and what happens is I become the receiving end of whatever's going on
Well,
internally.
that is protectionism though, more than anything. That's a protective measure, so trying to shield you and shield our daughters
sure.
from like stuff that I don't want any of the three
Right.
of you to have to worry about.
My
and let me
question,
deal with it.
my
Yes.
question is, like, if you are a woman and you are in these situations, I'm asking you as a guy's perspective, if you're in these situations and you feel like you're unappreciated too, right, and you're feeling exhausted and drained and all the things that and your husband isn't telling you what he needs,
Yeah.
how do you suggest, like, for women that are listening, like, how do you take that first step to improve that? Because, like, if you're feeling like you're
Yeah.
not getting it, it's very hard to give it.
Well, I think one thing just out of the gate, and again, these are generalities.
Yeah, of course.
Most men are not communicators like women are, verbal communicators. They just aren't. Most men are okay with communicating and talking, but they don't want to, nor maybe not have, or maybe they don't have the ability to just spill out their details of what happened every day, or what happened, that day, or what's going on in their life at work or outside of work that is causing them maybe some stress or some pressure. And I think that that's a very difficult thing for women to understand, again, generally speaking, because women have a tendency to, in a great way, be very communicative and talk, go to lunch for 2 hours and talk, and like we just said, I
Yeah.
just said, oh, you just had a nice 2-hour lunch. You're like, well, we had a lot to talk about. I'm like, what the fuck do you talk about for 2 hours? Like,
And that was a small amount of
I'm
time,
like,
I
it's
could
like-
be there for
it's-
4.
It's like 30 minutes, like, let's go, let's move on
I
to the
wanna
next
know
thing.
what the fuck you talk about for 30 minutes. What can you possibly get out? Hi, you look great, what do you wanna eat? Okay, thanks, okay, bye.
Yeah,
Like,
how's
I
your
mean,
family,
like-
how are the kids, what are we doing at work, like, let's move on. You have any vacations
But that's
planned?
hard in a marriage, because that
No, no.
kind of communication makes it very difficult.
Without question, but you asked about what like women can do in those situations. I think understanding that like the lack of verbal communication, just like, I don't want to say it is what it is, but most men don't want to sit there and just talk for hours about what's going on. They'll talk a little bit. Most men enjoy, well, I shouldn't say this, I can talk for myself. I don't mind talking and communicating, I think I've gotten better at it. I think that,
Well,
I think that-
for you, you're more drained.
well, you should.
That's what it is. You talk all day long, so I
Yeah.
think by the time you get home, you're drained.
Yeah, certainly, and I think that like we can talk about it. I think also that it is, men. Again, I can speak for myself. I think that, again, I'm super fortunate because I have a wife who is vain. You want to make sure you look physically beautiful. Socially, you want to make sure that your schedule's filled, our schedule's filled. You put yourself out there, you put us out there. I think though, to understand your spouse where, for example, most men don't mind being alone or in a smaller setting, and they don't need their social calendars filled at all times. Because when they're out working, again, generally speaking, a lot, their social battery runs out at some point. And social battery can be while you're in a professional setting. It doesn't have to be, going out with friends, for example.
Yeah, for
So-
sure, oh, God,
So
yeah.
like all of a sudden, if it's
I think more so.
if it's a Friday night and you're going out now with 4 couples that you're good friends with or something, after working an entire week and you know you're gonna have to put some work in over the weekend, and frankly, all you wanna do is chill, like that is a challenging place to be for a lot of guys as well. So, yeah, and then there's the whole physical component as well, you know, intimacy and sex and, you know, what that all looks like, as well, so, yeah, but I just talked a lot.
No, well, also, I think for
But
women.
you're a way better interviewer than I am, so,
I mean, obviously, no.
well, you are.
But for women also, I mean, we've got our batteries that get drained too, but
Yeah.
also, I think so when we were not partners working and just like partners, marriage and everything else like that,
Yes,
when we would come home, there was so much to talk about, right? Because, hi, what did the kids do, and get you caught up, and everything that was going on their side, and then what are you doing, and get you all caught up, get caught up on your side. Although, for a long time, you kept a lot of things close to the heart when you had stuff going on that was hard at work.
yes,
But we weren't working on the same things, so getting caught up was a lot easier because we were in 2 different worlds to do that.
right,
Now it's gotten a lot more complicated because all the intricate details of work we're kind of on top of each other for. So when you
Yes.
get home, what are you gonna continue that conversation? You're not gonna do that. So you have to come up with things to talk about that are,
but we still do that, and that's tiring.
it's tiring, for sure, 100%. But for women, you know, when they want to go out and do things, and they wanna go, get outside whatever their normal is, because like a guy has gone out and maybe he's, you know, his look of work is very different than a woman's, and he's going off and doing some things that might be exhausting to him, but for a woman who's like, God, I haven't done any of that stuff, I've done this, this, and this, you know, and then your social battery is exhausted, but ours is just like, I just wanna get out of the damn house, you know, it's hard, because you're trying to
Sure,
meet both of your needs,
Of
and it's
course.
hard to do that.
very much so.
And so I think it's an interesting thing about trying to really look at men's needs versus women's needs in different situations. Obviously, it's very situational. And really, as a wife and a husband, to try to put yourself in the other person's shoes
Of
at times,
course.
which is very complicated to do, and be able to look at it, okay, what did that person do all day that maybe they need a break from? You know, and figure out how to make that work amongst the both of you. It's challenging.
It is.
You know, it's a
No,
challenging
no,
thing.
it definitely is, and, yeah, and fulfilling a woman's needs as a man is, if you're committed to a specific, you know, a certain woman, it should be very important, and it should be, you know, front and center. I'm a big believer of that, and, you know, and it is, at moments it's a lot easier, and at moments it's a lot more challenging to do so, and I also think that, you and I've had this conversation before, I think that sometimes the small things that get done, by a man, or me, for example,
Yes.
may get overlooked, that those are not, like, they don't get taken into consideration
Yes.
for,
Agreed.
that it's actually certain things that, again, I can only talk about myself, like, for certain things that I do, where I go out of my way, there's a very strategic thought that goes behind closing the bedroom door in the morning, because I know you don't sleep well, to have me get up early, take care of the dogs earlier on when her girls were younger, let you sleep in the morning, I'm up, taking care of them, making them breakfast, getting them off to school, you know, whereas the great majority of guys, like, you know, in situations like where we were in, they're out the door and had nothing
No,
to do with that
I
stuff.
know that.
You know,
So they do
or,
get overlooked, and,
you know, or whatever it might be, you know, have, even though you don't like groceries in the house for some odd reason.
it messes up the kitchen.
Right, exactly, but.
I thought the kitchen was there just
but-
because you
but
have to
at-
sell
But
it
at
again.
minimum have like a small handful of things in the refrigerator for my wife when she's hungry late at night for some sweets, like fresh berries and whipped cream, or a piece of cheesecake, or a tiramisu, or something. But by the way, you do the same exact stuff for me as well, which is so appreciated.
I never go anywhere without bringing you
You
something.
never,
back.
you always do. Yeah, you just bought me Dracar Noir.
I
And
did.
prior to that, last week you bought me Cool Water.
I did.
Yes.
I love how you smell it.
Well, thank you. But so I do think that men sometimes get, again, I can only speak for myself, but like sometimes overlooked on the smaller things The
I
dishes in the sink. My beautiful bride, she just dumps her dishes in the sink.
That is not true.
Very true.
That is not true.
Very true. And okay, maybe 80% of the time
No,
you
no,
dump
no,
the dishes.
no, babe,
Let
I
me-
complete a task.
But
That's,
I'll move the dishes, I'll rinse them off, and I'll put them in the dishwasher. The garbage will be taken out all the time. You you do the
I
laundry.
fill the garbage. I just,
Well,
I
we
give it
both-
to you at that point.
This isn't meant for an argument. This is more
I
meant,
call that a 50-50.
this is more meant for just, there are things that get done that actually are signs of respect.
Yeah,
Mutual
it's a
respect.
love language,
It's
it's
a love-
how you're
yeah,
giving,
just-
yeah.
So that I think that sometimes get lost in the shuffle. I clean the floors. I clean the floors all the time.
I mean, you clean the
I love the
floor so
floors.
there's no more grout.
Well, with all
Yes.
this said, I don't wanna keep talking about me. You do so many of those same types of things.
I was just trying to, like, I get where guys would say, because it definitely happens all the time. I see it amongst people I know, where a guy will do one thing, it's a very simple thing, like, we'd be at a dinner table and he'd be passing to his wife first and saying, you take first. Those things still make a difference.
Of
Like, and
course.
so you get very caught up in, just taking that for granted, that those things are technically a form of a love language, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're giving that to somebody, but they get lost along the way. And as a man, you're doing all these little things, and the woman is kind of waiting for that big thing and has forgotten all the little things along the way, which actually equal up to something being big.
Here's another thing. Physically, you've said, and I have also said, like, you will have said to me over the years, hey, no, like, we haven't held hands in a long time,
Right.
right? Something like that. I'll have said to you, like, if we're sitting next to each other, it's a great thing to feel your hand on my shoulder or
That's more
on
me
my,
than you.
or on my lap. What, you doing that?
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
way more me than you. I
It
just didn't
is.
put that up.
I didn't know that we were giving a scorecard.
No, we're not. Well,
Oh,
if we
okay.
were, that would be more me than you.
Right, yeah, you just jumped in like very competitive on that. But those types of things are also very important to men, without
course.
question. Yes,
Well, all those things are to show moments of love to somebody that you love and respect. That like might not be like a very big thing that's like in a neon sign that you
Right.
see, but it's like subtle enough where you're like, I am still showing you, and that's important for guys to see and for
Correct.
guys to feel.
and how about women? What's important to women?
Well, I think that they would like
Communication.
well, communication.
Talk to me, understand my feelings, understand exactly what I'm thinking right now.
I think there needs to be respect. I think that women, yes, they do want to
Right.
communicate
No,
because
I
it's
know.
not our job we already have to take care of a lot of things. Don't think it's our job necessarily to try to figure out what the hell's in your head. Like, I just don't think that's like, it's not one more thing we can do. And so it would be helpful if there was communication because we're not then trying to figure out one more thing.
What else?
And,
Okay, communication.
I think there's also that idea of chivalry, I think is still important.
Yes,
I mean,
I agree.
I think that, and I'm not trying to genderize that, and I'm not saying that like, oh, women should be like this, but I do think there's something to be showing that, like, holding a door open is a pretty simple task.
Yes.
It might be old school, but it's pretty simple. Like, making the woman, holding their hand is a very
Yes.
simple task, because the truth is, if a guy doesn't make those moves on a woman, I don't know how, I'm talking like basic moves, like arm around her, saying that I love you,
Yes.
making sure the guy says those words more. I don't know why the man would ever expect a woman to just hop into bed and have sex. Like, because if you're not doing little things along the way,
Sure.
at the one point, the woman's kind of like, well, screw it, So I think there's subtle things like you can do for a guy
Mhm.
that you can also do for a woman. Now, with that being said, love language is very different in how it comes across. Like a woman, because we do emote, will say, I love you very much, or we will say, let's talk about this, or we will do
I like
things.
your nail color today.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
I just designed that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I saw it.
Thanks, see,
I
that's
see
a
that.
compliment.
You're welcome.
So you notice those things.
Of course.
But I think those are important things that help with a woman. Honestly, there's also things that might sound really trivial, but they're kind of important, such as, if we ask you for help on something, there's a completion process that honestly, is a big thing for a woman. Like if I'm saying to you, can you please take the dishes?
Return the treadmill?
Yeah, like something,
treadmill
yeah.
that you
Like if
bought?
I asked you,
Yes.
because the truth is, when you say, Tara, can you go to the cleaners for me? I
Yes.
go that day. If you say, Tara, can you please go pick up my prescription? I go that day.
Yes.
When I ask you to complete a task,
Yes.
the task gets done eventually
Of
on
course.
Josh's time. But sometimes at that point in time, I've already could have done it 6 or 7 times myself. So it's not really helpful.
Right?
And then that goes in, but again, there's other things that go along with that. When a woman says to a man, hey, can you go take the dishes and put them into the dishwasher? I look at it like there's a task that kind of follows and proceeds, like after that, and it's, can you put in the dishwasher, turn on the dishwasher, wash the dishes, not like a step-by-step guide. Or, if you come to somebody and ask for, there's something in the house, like, where's the tape? And
You're getting very granular.
well, you're gonna tell, because these are the kind of things, but they go on in every household.
I completely
They
agree.
go on in every household, and I'm not the
completely
only woman that thinks this.
Yeah.
I actually just had, with my best friend Michelle, I just had this conversation, because Jeff will come and ask her where something is in the house, and she's looking at him like, you've lived here for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so, those are extra things that to a woman, we've got a lot on our plate.
I completely agree.
Okay, but you are not taking this to heart, you are laughing at this, and I'm being serious.
I am.
I need you to be like, I understand where you're coming from.
I completely understand where you're coming
Okay,
from.
that's all you need to say.
No, I do. I also understand that you leave wet towels all over the bed or the floor.
I pick them up.
For sure.
I put them back up in the bathroom.
100% no.
Okay, you go check the bathroom. I 100% do.
You either leave them on the bed, on the floor, or in the sink.
That's not true at all. If I'm in a rush, I'll leave, for sure. Like, I'll leave something, but that's not true.
Then, okay, then we'll take pictures. And
Okay,
we'll
take
show
pictures.
Them, we'll show them the next
Fine.
podcast.
Next podcast, guys, you're gonna get pictures. We're gonna have pictures.
You'll
to play
keep the
with.
bathroom drawers open with your makeup everywhere.
Well, yes, that I will do.
Yeah, the bathroom's an absolute time
I have a
bomb.
lot of hair.
Okay, no, but it's a time bomb. It
Yeah,
has gone
bathrooms are not my best.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
Well,
yeah.
right. So, but like, out of respect for your husband, who's so clean in the bathroom,
It's not my
It
fault
would-
to have no hair.
it would be so nice to have a clean bathroom.
You don't have to put any makeup on. You don't have to moisturize.
Uh,
Literally, Moosh, what
okay.
you do is you put on shorts every day and a t-shirt
So-
and
so
you walk
this-
out the door.
So this conversation has taken a turn for
No, I was
a
just
tit for
simply,
tat.
it's not a
So
tip for
ba- so
tat. I
ba-
was
so
trying
ba-
to tell you to complete
so
a
ba-
task.
so back to men's needs versus women's needs. I think the list is very short on the men's side. The list is much longer on the women's side, and they're both right. Like, you know, that's
100%.
how women feel, and that's how men feel, generally speaking.
Yes.
So again, I think that if it is that 80-20 rule, where, you know, 80% of the time it's on one, you know, one is pulling their weight, you know, but that you get close to that 50-50 more often than not. I think that's really, really important for a successful marriage. You know, we didn't talk about sex or intimacy or anything like that. That's also extraordinarily important, but I think that's important. Well, I can't speak for women, I can speak for you, but I think I can speak for you at this point. You know, certainly for most men, that's a very important piece of it.
Of course it is.
You know, and I think for some women, it
No,
is.
I think it is
I
for
think it
women. I think
becomes
women get
less.
lost with it because they literally, there's an emotional component that goes with it. It's not just like jumping into bed. I think for women, it's also like, I've been waiting for you to, you know, actually show me affection. I've been waiting for you. I'm exhausted. I would like you to just maybe lay on the couch and hang with me. I'd like you to maybe tell me I look pretty today. I'd like you to maybe, like, there's some things for women that when you get to a point and there's like little things that haven't happened along the way,
Yeah.
the women at that point are like, well, fuck it. I'm like, no, I'm not getting to bed with him. Like, well, I'll get into bed with him, but I'll go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think the rest of it matters because intimacy is more than just the sex part. And to
Sure.
women, there's a big emotional component that goes along with it. And I think what happens is, again, men think one way, women think another. I do believe emotional is important to men, sex-wise. I'm not saying that because I do believe that there is that component. But men can also turn it off, turn it on much easier than women can. And that is because there's more emotion that goes into it for a woman. and honestly, not making an excuse, but like you hit menopause too, and women's hormones are completely out of whack, and at that point, they're like, I don't even know what to do. So like, we go through a lot of hormonal shifts.
Oh, yeah. Hoo-ha. You do.
Welcome to the ride, baby. Try being in our brain. It's quite bumpy. But yes, I agree. I think but to say that women don't have those needs is not right either, because I do believe that women do. I think that they fall short of needing that when they have felt less
That makes
than
sense.
what they really want to feel.
Sure. We have to understand. We have to listen. We have to predict. We have to,
You have to predict.
yeah, how you feel.
You have to predict how we feel.
Yeah. Yes.
I'd be careful with that.
Why?
What do you mean you have to predict how we feel?
We're gonna have to like predict how you feel about like a certain like situation.
I mean, if you're
ahead
that
of
good, you
time.
shouldn't even have to predict, you should just know.
Okay. Yeah, but what if your prediction is wrong?
I don't know, you're SOL, I don't know.
You're SOL. So.
Why don't you ask your wife then, like, how can I be of service?
Service. I know how I can be of service for you. Yes. Yes.
I'm just saying in general.
I know, in
Yeah.
general. I
I'm
know.
telling people that they should
Yes.
be, that are couples that are listening,
Yes.
it is very important to ask the other one what they can do.
What can I do better to be of service to you?
Are you asking me this now, or are you
Yeah.
just asking men in
I'm
general?
asking you this right now.
Oh, well, okay, I don't know. I don't even know at this moment. I think that you're doing a lot of good things.
Well, of course I am.
I know.
Fucking great.
I don't have anything like
I'm a
specific
fucking
that
great catch.
you are incredible. Just
Oh, I
ask
know,
you.
well, I know that, so.
You are.
I know
You're a
that.
really good person. You're a good dad. You're a wonderful human and everything like
Well,
that.
how
I
about
think
husband? Like, how about a good husband?
you're an amazing husband.
Okay,
I
great.
think the big thing for you is,
Yeah.
honestly,
It's
is that
completing a task.
completing a task.
Yeah.
I think is
So like
important.
taking back the treadmill that you bought on Amazon that
And
sat in
not
my
just
car
keeping
for
it in
2
the back,
days.
right, don't keep it in the back of your car if I ask you to do something, I think that's important.
Right.
I think completion of the task,
Yes,
not
what
asking
else?
me like ridiculous, stupid questions, like where is something when you're looking right at it. You do that,
Okay.
please say you own it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Please
of
say that
course.
you look in
Okay,
a
so I can
drawer.
get- So I can get better at that.
Please
okay?
tell me that you look
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
drawer,
for
look
sure.
directly at the
For
tape,
sure.
and at the
So I-
same
so I
time you
can-
ask me where the tape
So I can do
is.
better at that.
I
Great.
think you just make more effort with it, I don't expect you to be like work
Okay,
miracles
okay,
here.
what else?
And I also, you have a tendency,
Yeah.
which I understand,
Yeah, yeah.
you have a lot of pressure on you,
Yeah.
and I become the human dartboard
Yeah,
to that.
okay.
So like, those are the only things, but like, again, those aren't like horrible, they're not necessarily
You don't have to
horrible things.
quantify it, those are 3 things to work on. Making sure I can find like the scotch tape in the drawer is one.
No, I would
The
not
first-
just say
the first-
scotch
no, no,
tape, it
hold on,
really is
no.
applicable to
Hold-
pretty much
hold on.
anything that you're looking for.
From what I just heard you say.
Yeah, see, this is where the literal part of the guy
No,
comes in, from now on, I'll just find the scotch tape.
No. So, let me finish just for a second. From what I just heard you say, out of those 3 things, there's legitimately one thing that I have to work on. Because me not finding like the hammer in the drawer, like that is what it is and it's always gonna be the case. Whether you like it or you don't,
It's just
I'm
that you're
sorry.
stopping my thing that I might be working on at the time for something that you, like, so you're not validating, oh, I have another thing actually, that, I gotta think of it. I have another
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
The
yeah.
other thing is
Yeah.
timeliness.
Yeah.
You have now structured yourself, and
Sure.
your daughters can pipe in,
Yeah.
with your overbooking, and then you pick and choose what's important for you
Yeah.
to follow through on.
Yeah,
And it's making people feel less important.
it
rather
is.
than
I feel bad for those people that make me feel less.
I might be one of those people.
I
So,
do feel
okay,
bad.
so, all right.
I do feel bad for that, yes. I can work on that, okay. So I'm already
Okay, tell me.
I'm already working on that. But no, I will do better at finding the scotch tape and the hammer and maybe the pasta noodles.
First of all, I would never ask you to
One.
look for a hammer because you're
Right.
the least
So
hitting
that's
person I know.
one.
That would never
Two,
happen.
you said, yeah, I'll do better also at returning your treadmill that you bought off of Amazon.
We're really gonna go very little,
No.
aren't we?
Well, no.
So these are just like.
Or the task.
This
No,
is
you
just
said-
an example.
Right, or the dry cleaning doesn't stay in my car for 3 days, only 1 day, and then I take
Sometimes
it in.
it's more than 3 days.
Maybe
sweetheart.
5 days.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, oh, you're getting pissed right now.
Because you're not listening and
I
you're
am-
picking out very.
I am listening, and then what I also heard you say, what was the third thing? Which
Did
is
you
a
hear
real
me
thing?
say that?
I did. What was the third thing you said?
I don't wanna be the human
Right,
target
that you,
practice.
yeah, you don't wanna be the human yes, that absolutely 100% is accurate, yes. So, they usually say you take out things on the ones closest to you.
Absolutely.
There is no excuse for that at all.
Yeah, I'm not a
And
big
so-
advocate of that. I
I-
understand when people say that, and they're like, oh, it's a compliment to you, or like,
No,
that's
no,
not a
no, I don't
compliment.
think it's a compliment at all.
Yeah.
No, no, I'm not saying that's a compliment at all. I'm just saying, like, that is just kind of, yeah. So that certainly has to be worked on, has continued to be worked on. And then your, like, new thing was what?
Just your sense of time.
Oh, sense of time. So, yeah, so we have, like, plans at 8 o'clock, I shouldn't shower at like 7:40. I should be ready to go by 7:40.
Well, yeah,
Right.
kind of, it would be nice,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So, yeah, I will continue working on
Okay,
those
now tell me.
full two things. I think you're perfect.
All right, perfect, so we worked really well.
I think
This
you're
is
perfect.
great. No, there's gotta be
Yes, I
something.
think you're perfect.
You can't, no, this is a
I
safety
think
zone.
I think you're perfect. I do.
You're such a jackass. You're such a
I think
jackass.
you're perfect. I think the bathroom is immaculate. I think I think your sleeping patterns are impeccable.
Oh, they're horrible.
No, I think they're impeccable.
But that's like, how is that impacting our marriage?
Seriously? Are you?
I mean, you're
for real?
still sleeping through the death shows.
Are you serious?
Murder mysteries, you don't even like wake up through them.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because that like just leads into so many different things. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's a tremendous
Okay,
thing.
well, I don't choose to have my sleep patterns, trust me, it's not my choice.
Oh,
So I would really like to change it for you, but I'd really like to change it for myself first and foremost.
Without question, I would like you to change it first. Whoa, I just got put second there. All right, very firmly. That's why I said you're perfect, because I don't want to upset you.
You're not upsetting me,
Well,
that's a real
I
thing.
just did, I upset you.
I
Now you're
know.
looking at your phone.
No, I'm just gonna,
Oh, what are you doing?
I was saying how long.
Oh, okay, yeah, we've been going on for a while. I didn't know if it was time for you to go back to social media or not. so-
It is,
Oh.
it is.
So
So
you-
these are
yes.
these are the thoughts
Yes.
on the differences.
Yes.
What men
Well,
need
I
and what
love
women
you.
need. I love you too.
I love you so, so much.
Thank you, I love you too.
You're welcome.
I think that if anybody can take anything from a relationship, that is very important. You need to speak those words, you have to live those words if you're in a marriage. And if you can't do those things,
Yes.
then you need to get out of the marriage out of respect for the other person.
There you go.
So that's my only
All
last
right.
piece of advice.
Well, thank you all for joining today. We could continue this for a while, but we'll come
Stay
back and
tuned,
talk
we'll have the
about it.
Battle of the Josephs.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about the Scotch tape and the hammer,
Yeah.
the return of the treadmill.
I feel like we're in a Seinfeld episode. Stay tuned, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for joining.
Bye-bye.